Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are taking on a topic that has become, well, such a massive, overwhelming buzzword it almost loses its meaning. Digital transformation, or DT.
Right.
If you've ever been in a meeting where DT is just thrown around as the solution for everything, you know exactly what I mean. It feels like this abstract, impossibly high mountain.
It does. But the good news is our sources, we've got strategy guides, deep research, case studies. They really provide a clear, structured path.
To understanding it,
Yeah.
and more importantly, actually executing it.
That's our mission today. We're moving beyond the jargon, beyond the whole just modernize everything rhetoric.
Yeah.
We want to deliver a pragmatic guide for you, focusing on proven frameworks, why most of these things actually crash, and what success really looks like.
Okay, so let's unpack this core problem right away. Because DT is fundamentally misunderstood. And that misunderstanding is, it's expensive.
It's very expensive.
The sources all stress that digital transformation is not just a technology upgrade. It's not just moving your email to the cloud.
That's the critical distinction. Those activities are, digitization or digitalization. They are not transformation.
So what is it?
The real definition is the fundamental integration of digital tech across all areas of a business.
All areas.
Every single one. And that integration has to drive fundamental changes in how you operate, your culture, and most crucially, how you deliver value to your customer. It has to be a business reinvention.
Not just an IT project.
Never just an IT project.
And this failure to see the full scope. I mean, this is why we have to talk about the stakes. The biggest failure point cited everywhere we looked was this strategy execution gap.
It's the critical breakdown. I mean, the studies consistently show that over 70% of DT efforts fail. They just don't deliver.
70%. That's a staggering number.
And it's almost never faulty software. It's because the execution just breaks down. The strategy is clear, but then it falls apart across fragmented systems, disconnected teams.
Right, and trying to apply a tech solution to what's really a people problem.
Or a process problem, exactly.
So why is this happening now? What are the forces driving this relentless pressure to transform?
The drivers are, they're non-negotiable at this point. First, customer expectations are just evolving constantly. People demand personalization, immediacy.
A seamless experience.
A seamless experience, yes.
Yeah.
Second, operational agility. You have to use AI, robotic process automation to streamline things. If you can't deploy value quickly, you lose.
And the third?
Data. Decision-making has to be backed by data, and DT is what makes that data available and, just as important, trustworthy.
Okay, so given that we're seeing these fragmented 70% failure approaches, let's talk about the foundation, the frameworks that actually hold this whole thing together.
Right. When you look at the successful frameworks, you see the same underlying pillars again and again.
Like what?
So one consulting source talks about 3 pillars: process optimization, cultural change, and information integration.
Okay.
Another, slightly broader one, talks about 4: technology, process, people, and skills.
What's interesting there is that whether it's 3 or 4, the non-tech parts, the people and the process, they're always there. So why is it so tempting for businesses to just focus on the tech?
Because it's easier. It's faster to write a check for a new system than it is to fundamentally change how people behave or to re-engineer a broken process.
That makes sense.
The key insight for you, the learner, is that success is anchored by the synchronous maturation of all these components. You can't just focus on technology. The process, the people, the skills, they all have to mature at the same time.
Otherwise, the whole structure just unstable.
It completely falls apart.
Let's zoom in on that process pillar, which the sources say should be job number 1.
This is absolutely critical. You cannot add a layer of shiny new technology on top of a deficient, wasteful process.
You'd just be making the chaos faster.
You'd be creating chaos on top of chaos. That's the quote. So before you even pick a system, you have to optimize the process it's supposed to run.
And the advice is pretty pragmatic, right? Don't try to boil the ocean.
Exactly. Focus on the 20% of processes that are most critical and most broken. That targeted effort limits your risk and it delivers measurable ROI quickly, which builds momentum.
And once you fix the process, you run headlong into the hardest pillar of all. The human one. The cultural mandate.
See, it is the ultimate differentiator. The shift that's required is profound. You have to move from a competitive know-it-all culture,
where people are afraid to fail.
Right, to a collaborative learn-it-all ethos. We saw this famously with Satya Nadella at Microsoft. He shifted the entire corporate mindset.
So how do you do that?
Tools like the Kaizen approach become essential. You bring teams together to make gradual but quick, continuous changes. It starts to modernize how people work and think.
And if we're talking about people and culture, we have to talk about the skills gap. How do you solve for that when tech is changing so fast?
The only sustainable solution is to shift from a buy mentality, just hiring expensive talent, to a build mentality. You have to cultivate skills internally.
So reskilling your own people.
Comprehensive, ongoing training. A great example is AT&T. They committed $1 billion to reskill nearly half their workforce. That's the scale of commitment it takes.
Wow. Okay, before we move on, let's quickly clarify something that trips up a lot of beginners. The difference between a DT strategy and a DT roadmap.
Yes, this distinction is vital. The DT strategy, that's your long-term, high-level vision, your 3 to 5 year horizon. It's the why.
The ultimate destination.
Exactly. The DT roadmap, on the other hand, is the execution blueprint. It's the step-by-step plan, the specific initiatives, the milestones for the next, say, 6 months to 3 years.
So the strategy is the destination, the roadmap is the turn-by-turn GPS directions to get there.
A perfect analogy. And every single initiative on that roadmap has to tie back directly to a strategic goal. If it doesn't, you cut it.
Okay, let's shift gears. Time for a reality check. If 70% of transformations fail, we need to know where the bodies are buried. Let's look at the most common failure points.
We'll start with the largest one, the human barrier, cultural resistance to change.
This isn't technical, it's psychological.
Completely. It comes from fear of the unknown, job security concerns, or just, comfort with the status quo. If people feel change is being done to them,
Instead of with them?
they will resist, they'll slow walk it, find workarounds. It's human nature.
So how do effective leaders actually mitigate that fear?
They have to be clear, consistent, visible champions. And the messaging has to be personal. It has to answer 2 critical questions for every employee.
Which are?
First, what's in it for me, or YFM? And second, what does it mean to me? WDIMTM. How will my specific role change? If you only talk about shareholder value, you've already lost.
And that's exactly what happened with the classic cautionary tale of Kodak.
Absolutely. Kodak literally invented digital photography, but they failed to embrace it because their leadership was just too invested in the profitable film business.
So the culture couldn't pivot.
The cultural inertia was just too strong. It kills innovation,
Right.
even when that innovation comes from inside your own company.
Then there's the big technical hurdle. Legacy systems. I mean, huge global banks, utilities, they still rely on decades-old mainframes.
Right. And integrating modern cloud solutions with that, it's daunting. The technical debt is enormous.
A rip-and-replace approach just isn't feasible most of the time.
The operational disruption would be catastrophic. So the strategic solution we saw over and over is something called phased coexistence. It's often called the Strangler Pattern.
Strangler Pattern. Tell us how that works.
You don't touch the core legacy system itself because it's too fragile. Instead, you build a new, modern wrapper around it.
And you do that with APIs.
You do that with an API-first approach. You develop standardized, modern interfaces for those legacy systems. The API is like a universal translator. It lets the new apps talk to the old mainframe without ever having to speak its archaic language.
So it protects the new applications from the legacy code. That sounds much safer.
It is. And you couple that with middleware solutions, like an enterprise service bus. Think of it like an air traffic control tower that sits in the middle, translating data formats between all the old and new applications.
Okay, so you're slowly, incrementally strangling the old system's dominance.
Exactly. It minimizes risk and lets you show value along the way.
And this is where the tech challenges connect right back to leadership and execution.
This is the absolute dividing line between the 30% that succeed and the 70% that fail. DT fails when leadership is hands-off and just delegates the whole thing to the program management office.
Executives have to be hands-on.
Actively participating in the big decisions. We saw 2 case studies that they illustrate this perfectly.
Tell us about them. The successful manufacturer versus the failed utility.
Okay, the successful $20 billion manufacturer prioritized aligning their culture and their business processes first. They kept control of the project.
They owned it.
They owned it. They made sure the technology served the business. The failed $15 billion utility, on the other hand, they deferred almost entirely to the technology vendors. The leadership lacked a clear vision.
They tried to outsource the transformation itself.
They did, and the consequence was catastrophic.
What happened?
The project stalled. It ended up in massive litigation. After 3 years and huge spending, only 1 out of 30 locations had gone live.
Wow. A total execution breakdown.
Total, because accountability had been outsourced right along with the technology.
That's a powerful lesson. Okay, let's shift to some more inspiring examples. The ones who got it right.
Yeah, let's learn from the masters. Take Domino's. They transformed their image from, let's be honest, a mediocre pizza place to a tech leader. A
Wow.
radically customer-centric approach. They implemented things like the Domino's tracker, anywhere technology, all these groundbreaking ordering tools.
And the result speaks for itself, right?
Absolutely. Their chief digital officer famously said, "We transitioned from being a pizza company to a tech company that happens to make pizza."
I love that quote.
And now more than 85% of their sales come through digital channels. That's a total reinvention.
What about using tech to enhance the physical experience?
IKEA is a great example. They tackled the problem of buying furniture online. Will it fit in my room?
Right.
They used augmented reality in their IKEA Place app. You can visualize furniture in your actual home with 98% accuracy. It just removed that friction point, and conversion rates soared.
And of course, there's Tesla, which just embodies this idea of continuous improvement.
Tesla's entire model is built on transformation velocity. They use over-the-air updates to remotely improve the car's safety and performance while it's sitting in your driveway.
Which basically eliminates most non-essential trips to the dealer.
It's an integrated, tech-first approach to delivering continuous customer value.
But the flip side to those successes are the cautionary tales. They remind us that no matter what, culture can absolutely kill innovation.
Blockbuster is the classic example. They didn't fail because of technology. They knew Netflix was coming.
So what was it?
They failed because they couldn't sense the shift in customer need. They were locked into a model built on late fees, which was all about friction. They just couldn't adapt to the demand for a frictionless, on-demand experience.
And Nokia is another giant that was trapped in its own success.
They were an incredible innovator in hardware, but they were too reliant on it. They completely underestimated the importance of the user experience from the iPhone and Android software.
Their organizational rigidity just prevented them from pivoting.
It did. They couldn't move fast enough.
So let's look forward. What are the frontier technologies that are accelerating this transformation velocity right now?
Two areas are moving really fast. First, AR and VR for training. We talked about the skills gap. Well, immersive tech is helping to bridge it.
How so?
You can have technicians learn incredibly complex procedures safely in a controlled environment. Or they can use AR for what's called cognitive offloading, getting real-time guidance overlaid on physical equipment.
That sounds like a game changer for high-risk jobs. And the next evolution of AI.
That would be agentic AI. This goes way beyond simple automation. Agents are like virtual collaborators that can act autonomously.
To do what?
To plan, reason, and execute complex multi-step workflows without constant human input. But, and this is a huge prerequisite for anyone just starting out, you have to master your information integration and your process standardization first.
Because if you automate a bad process,
You just amplify the chaos at digital speed. You have to fix the operation before you hand it over to an agent.
So what does this all mean for the manager trying to lead a transformation right now? What's the ultimate recommendation from all these sources?
The ultimate recommendation is the need for proactive, holistic governance. You must prioritize cultural alignment and process optimization before you commit to a high-risk tech overhaul.
And mitigate that technical debt incrementally.
Incrementally. Use things like the Strangler Pattern and APIs. The technology investment must always, always follow the business strategy, never the other way around.
And if you want to deepen your knowledge, we've got great news. Our source material listed 17 of the best DT courses globally.
They range from programs for senior execs at places like MIT, Harvard, and Yale, all the way down to excellent free courses on platforms like DataCamp or Coursera.
So there are vetted paths available, no matter your budget or your expertise.
We've talked a lot about speed and agility, and I want to leave you with one final thought that just captures the urgency right now.
Okay.
The sources cite a CIO who noted, and I'm quoting here, "The time it takes us to study a new technology now exceeds that technology's relevance window."
Wow. Read that again.
The time it takes us to study a new technology now exceeds that technology's relevance window.
So if the knowledge half-life in a field like AI has shrunk from years down to months, the old playbook of seeking perfection and moving slowly, it's dead.
It's completely dead. Innovation compounds exponentially. The gap between the leaders and the laggards is getting wider faster than ever.
So the final question for you to think about is this.
Are you focused on building systems and, more importantly, a culture that is designed for velocity over perfection, That is the question you need to be answering in every single strategic decision you make.